Hi, and welcome to the Waukee High School 9th grade registration video. First, I'd like to introduce you to the high school counselors, Christian Grangenet, Jody Vogt, Megan Curry, Jason Sanders, and Beth Strite. We are all split up by alphabet. And we also have a Facebook page that we invite you all to follow. We try to post important things that are happening in our student services office. This would include things like scholarship information, information about scheduling, information about mental health, and much, much more. Your child will begin registering for next year's classes soon, and we're going to talk you through that process. Keeping graduation in mind. These few years are going to go by quickly, and we want to make sure that all students are entering this process with a growth mindset and being really intentional with their choices. Keeping that 4-year plan in mind is really important, so we encourage all students to really kind of work backwards. Look at that senior year and what you want that to look like. And use that as a guide in planning sophomore and junior year classes. And again, we really want you to explore different interest areas, challenge yourself in a couple of different areas throughout the 4 years of high school, and really be intentional with that plan. Let's talk for a minute about graduation requirements. As you will see, each of our core subject areas, we have the number of credits that are needed to graduate from Waukee High School, and these requirements are also what is needed to get into a 4-year college, with the additional foreign language requirements for most colleges as well. But if students are doing well in these graduation requirement areas, they should be prepared for a 4-year college. So language arts, there are 8 credits needed, and one of those needs to be speech. If a 9th grader is taking speech, that does meet that requirement. For math, there are 7 classes required. One of them needs to be a statistics course, and we have 3 different levels for that requirement. 6 science credits. Those can be any 6 of our science classes. However, we do encourage students to pay attention to 4-year college entrance requirements because there may be some specific science classes needed for that. In our social studies department, students will take American history their junior year and American government their senior year, which will be included in that 6. Sophomores are not required to take a social studies credit, but oftentimes they will do some exploring with one of the elective classes, such as recent U.S. history or contemporary affairs. Next is health, and just like speech, if a 9th grader is taking health, that does meet that requirement. PE, students will take 1 physical education course per year. And then the rest is made up with electives. So if a student does want to continue past the required math classes, that will then fall under electives. So all of those will total up to equal 53 credits. So there's going to be a lot of resources discussed throughout this video to get help with planning for next year's classes. And one of those resources is the course guide. The course guide will be linked in this presentation, but it is also available on the main Waukee High School website. And then you'll also have access to some department videos. These could be helpful if you want to explore a different subject area that you're not quite sure about. You could watch the videos and that might give you some more clarification. In the course guide, you will find department flow charts. These can be helpful in planning for classes and figuring out if classes have prerequisites or kind of what that path might look like. So this example walks through our English Language Arts department. So a student could look and see what English class they're in right now and maybe what the next step for them is. So if a student is in English 1, the most logical next step would be English 2. And then you'll also see some different electives in the department as well. Another thing to pay attention to in the course guide is the grade level. So for instance, Algebra 2 is open for grades 10, 11, and 12, but you will find classes that are only available to juniors and seniors and some that are only available to seniors. So please pay close attention to that. And then another really important thing to pay attention to in the course guide is the number of terms that a course is. So it will say either 1, 2, or 4 terms long. And so that is important when registering so that you don't overschedule yourself. And then lastly, there are prerequisites listed in our course guide. So in order to take Algebra 2, you must first successfully complete formal geometry. So paying attention to those prerequisites and making sure that you will have completed them before taking the next course in that sequence is important. Another example is in one of our elective areas. So ceramics is open for all students, grades 10, 11, and 12. It is only 1 term long, but students must first take Art 1 and Art 2. So if a student wanted to take, let's say that they're in Art 1 in 9th grade, they want to take Art 2 and ceramics in 10th grade, that is just fine. We will make sure that we schedule those in the correct order. So some things to consider when making your choices for next year. Like I spoke about earlier, we really encourage students to begin with the end in mind. We can't stress this enough. We really want students to think about that senior year and what they might want that to look like, and then kind of work backwards. We see this all too often, that students really overschedule themselves sophomore and junior year, and then they are really stumped with what they're going to do with their senior year, because most likely they only need a few more classes to graduate, and they've, jam-packed their junior and sophomore schedule, and now they're not quite sure what to do. We definitely encourage students and parents to talk with current teachers and counselors to get some recommendations. If you're not really sure what to do next year, we encourage you to talk with your math teacher, and they can help guide you with what class is best for you to take next year. So especially in those core areas, meeting with those teachers, talking with your counselor, talking with parents, those things are all going to help you narrow down your selections. And then please pay attention to college entrance requirements. If you are a 4-year college-bound student, we want to make sure that you have looked ahead to see what they are going to need from you for entrance requirements. There may be some foreign language requirements. There may be some specific science courses that are required for entrance. So please pay attention to those. And then lastly, make sure that you are not making your schedule so rigorous that you are unable to be successful in all of your courses. We want you to spread out your classes over the 4 years of high school. There's no reason to rush. You have plenty of time to get through everything. If you're not quite sure how to fit everything in that you want to do, we encourage you to talk with your counselor, talk with your teachers. They can probably help you map out a plan to make sure that you get everything that you want, but also stay sane in doing so.
Sophomore students will receive their salmon-colored registration forms during plan on December 4th. This is an example of the salmon-colored registration form. As you can see, there are some required and/or recommended courses listed at the top of the form. So you can see English 2 or Honors English 2 is listed as course option with a number of 2 credits. Modern Biology or Honors Biology is also listed for 2 credits, and a PE elective is required for 1 total credit. The additional lines are for more required and/or elective courses, so please make sure that those are listed and total a number of 16 credits for the year. It's possible as you're filling out this salmon-colored form that you will not use all of the lines listed. That is okay. Please just make sure that you are using your course registration guide to help accurately list the number of courses and credits to total 16 for the year. If you are a band or choir student, please use the following information. If you're in band only, please write band on 1 line of your registration form for a total of 2 credits. We know that if you are in band, you are in 4 terms of band, but since each of those is only worth a half a credit, for the whole year, band equals 2 total credits. The same goes for choir. So if you are in choir, please write choir on one line and 2 for the number of credits. If you are in both band and choir, please write band on one line for 2 credits and choir on a separate line for 2 credits. This is an example of a completed registration form. Please note at the top the recommended or suggested courses and their total number of credits, and the remainder are either additional required courses and/or electives, totaling at the bottom 16 credits for the year. The second example shows a student who is only in band. Band is listed on one line for a total of 2 credits and 16 credits overall. This third example shows a student who is involved in both band and choir. Again, band is on one line for 2 credits, and choir is on a separate line for 2 credits. And overall, again, a total of 16 credits for the year. It is very important for incoming sophomore students to list 2 alternate courses. These alternate courses should be 1-term classes. So please make sure as you are going through, these are 2 additional courses that are not listed or as part of your anticipated 16. These are 2 alternates that may be used in place if we are unable to get you into a course that is previously listed.
Some of the common errors that we might see when registering, first of all, would be repeated courses. That would be a course that has previously been taken. All the classes that are taken during freshman year count towards high school credit. So for a couple examples would be speech and health. If they are taken as a 9th grader, they do fulfill the high school requirements, so they do not need to be repeated again. Writing incorrect number of terms in the course guide, you can follow along and see that they are either a 1-term class or a 2-term class, and making sure that when we are adding those numbers up to 16, that we write down the correct number of terms. Also, prerequisites can sometimes be missed. An example of this would be signing up for ceramics when we haven't done Art 1 and Art 2, making sure that in our core classes that we fulfill the requirement, the prereqs, before we move on to those classes. And then also the alternate courses. This is really important on the registration sheet, that when we fill those 2 alternate courses, there are many times that the courses that we originally request might not be available due to class sizes, and so we do have to use those alternate courses. It's very, very important that each student writes down those 2 courses. A couple of errors that happen with this is that they might write down a class that they already have put in their first 16 choices. That does not increase the chance of getting in that course. If it's full, it's full, so making sure they are different courses. Also, an alternate might be something that making sure there would be 2 1-term classes as opposed to a 2-term class that might be put in there. So those are some of the common errors that we might see. After the registration form is complete, we will return this to your child's history teacher by Wednesday, December 12th. And so it's very important that we have those completed and returned to the school by that date. As counselors from the high school, we will be actually going to your child's school to help them enter the courses into Power School. So there's nothing that you need to do on that end of things, but being able to, when they come to school that day, we'll be available and they will come down with us and we will help them to actually enter their course request into Power School. Some very important information regarding schedule changes. The course requests that are selected during this process drive decisions made for staffing for next year. Because of this, most schedule change requests that are made after registration are denied. This slide outlines some highlights of these guidelines that were sent in a previous email from Mr. Justman. Please choose your course selections carefully.
I am going to go over important dates to remember that we have highlighted in our presentation. On Monday, December 3rd, at the Waukee Innovation and Learning Center, we will have a question and answer session for students and parents. Please take advantage of this opportunity to talk with Waukee High School counselors about specific questions that you might have about the registration process. We will also have another session on Wednesday, December 5th at 5:30 p.m. at the Wilkes Center. Students will be working on the registration and plan December 4th, 7th, and 11th, and will turn their registration forms into their history teacher on December 12th. In August, we will have a sophomore orientation for students to learn about all the different opportunities and ways to get connected at Waukee High School. We will also have an open house so your student can walk through their completed course schedule. We have included several helpful resources in our presentation for you to access. Google Classroom is an essential tool that students, parents, advisors, and counselors use throughout high school to communicate. This will also encourage students to begin planning with the end in mind. This will track their 4-year courses and also graduation progress. We have also included the Waukee High School Counseling blog with several links on there that you will need to access throughout high school to ask questions, and the Waukee High School website, which includes the course guide with all the descriptions for the course selections that you can make. We also have included the Waukee High School department videos. These are helpful tools to use during the registration process. We have had several students give advice that have actually lived the life of a high school student. Please take advantage of this opportunity if you click on the link to listen to some of the advice these upperclassmen have given. If you have any questions, please contact your school counselor. At Timberline, please contact Kristen Reed at kristenreed@waukeeschools.org. And Prairie View, please contact Brittany Cunningham at waukeeschools.org. We thank you for listening to our presentation, and we look forward to seeing you at our question and answer session on either Monday, December 3rd, or Wednesday, December 5th. Thank you.